rugby match against Toronto. We are joined by Rapids head coach Matt Wells, and we'll go ahead and go to questions. And we'll start with Matt Pollard from Burgundy Wave.
Hey Matt, thanks for the time. Crazy game. What a way to start off Easter weekend. Given what we talked about with the yellow cards at Sporting Kansas City and how well the team kind of managed a hectic end of the game, is there a teachable moment in managing that, talking to the referee, the red cards, dealing with that once a red card's been given, or at least once the first red card happened and then you knew that that was going to provide context for the rest of the game?
No, not really. I've watched the incidents back. I don't know what I'm supposed to say to Miguel. Obviously, my feeling leaving the pitch was frustrated with Miguel. He's on a booking, and then to get a second booking in such a key moment when we had the game under control. Then I watched the incident back, and it's never ever been a foul, let alone a booking. So there's nothing I can teach Miguel about that in that scenario. I mean, if that's a foul, how is Rafa not fouled in the build-up to the goal where Zach makes the mistake? If that's a foul, how is Dante not given a penalty in the first minutes of the game when he's actually pushed in the back? I don't think that is a penalty, but it's certainly more of a foul than the one that ends up costing Miguel his second yellow. And as for Miguel's first yellow, perplexed as to how that's not a foul on Miguel when he's just barged in the back and ends up on top of the ball, and I'm not sure why they were then given a free kick in that situation. So my feeling from the start of the game, even the fact that we had to have VAR intervene for what is the most blatant foul and red card in the back of Wayne Frederick, how that is a decision that has to go to VAR when every single person in the stadium could see that was quite clearly an infringement. So yeah, frustrated to be honest from start to finish. What I have to then give the guys some feedback that makes us a better team, and tonight my feeling is immense pride of how we played 10 against 11. That's not a normal performance. The fact that we still dominated the ball, we still build up from the back with a man inferior, and then the move that led to their red card and Paxton's free kick is sensational. Straight after half time, to go out with that courage and bravery to build from the back, to then play forward, make the set, make the switch, and find Wayne through the middle. Top football. So that's my pride. My immense frustration is that at 2-0 we stopped playing that game, and that's what I've just said to the team. Why on earth at 2-0 we then went away from the ball, we started playing more direct? I obviously have to watch back to see exactly what triggered that, but the good news is that the players felt it in the dressing room straight away. So on the one hand, we're building something special here, and that was proven tonight. And what was also proven is that when we stick to our identity, we're a top team, but when we veer away from that identity, we're vulnerable. So yeah, disappointed of course with the outcome of the game when we had it under complete control, despite some very disappointing refereeing.
We'll go to Braden Nurse, Denver Post.
Hey Matt, good to see you again. Thanks for the time.
Hey Braden.
One of the wilder games that you may ever have as a head coach, but I don't want to speak too soon, but with it coming so early into your managerial career, can you just describe what it was like to have to try to come up with solution after solution in a game that, evolves so quickly and so often?
Yeah, obviously you make the first change with a Jackson red card. I mean, even that for me is not a red card. I just said to Jackson again, watching it back, there's nothing I want him to do differently there. He's wearing the correct footwear and ends up slipping, and they then produce a freeze frame that makes it look like a much worse foul than anyone who's played the game and watches the game and can see that action, play that in normal time. Jackson slips, there's nothing else he can do. But once you lose Jackson, then it's about, like you said, coming up with the correct solutions. In that moment, we went for a line of 4 across the back, but my intention was to get to half-time and then change that to a line of 5 because Toronto spread 5 players across the attacking line well, but their build-up players sometimes don't wait for the pressure before they pass. So we changed things again at half-time and used Wayne Frederick's role tonight showed what a good tactical player he is, because he was playing right wing back without the ball and making a line of 5 on the outside of Keegan. Then with the ball, he was going inside into the pocket, and Keegan was going out to right back. And the players carried out the instructions that I gave him at half time to a T. I knew that with Rafa going more through the middle centrally and having the two pocket players still and keeping the 2 6s, that Toronto would struggle to go man-man, so we still actually had the overload and we were still able to build from the back, which is obviously where we're at our best. So that played out to a T in the early stages of the second half, and from there obviously the game became a lot more chaotic once we had the second red card. But even the goals, we concede a miss-hit cross from the touchline, we concede. We could analyse the second goal relentlessly, and we wouldn't come up with a good idea for how that happened. Two crazy goals, and then of course you're 2 men down from your structure on the defensive corner, so you're always going to be vulnerable. The last thing I wanted them to get were corners, because that's in open play I didn't feel that threatened, but from corner situations I did, purely because of numbers. So they're going to have free runs at your zone, and then it's just about the guys being stronger, and Yappy and Lucas both got blocked a little bit too easily for that situation. But even then, my frustration was we tried to make those substitutions at the interval before, but for some reason the fourth official and the referee didn't allow us to make those substitutions, even though the cards were handed in. And then those things can come back to haunt you, so we had to make the substitutions at the next interval. The lads have been stood on the sideline for 3 minutes, and then you end up making a substitution on a corner, which I would never really want to do. So even that aspect of the officiating tonight was annoying.
Matt Wickham, Pitcast.
Hey, Matt. So tough
Hey,
match
Matt.
next week against Houston, positionally speaking, and then also since you brought up the 2 goals conceded, who are your fullbacks going to be, and are you going to make a change in goal?
I mean, it's 2 wild questions in one. I've got absolutely zero answer for that. I have no idea I'm just digesting the fact that we've just finished a football match, so I certainly won't start picking the team for the next one. What we need to do, as we always do, is analyse this one properly and make sure we're growing as a team. Football is a long-term sport, and we're here to build something special with sustained success over time. So I need to be a little bit better than being emotional and angry after a game and that leading to any sort of decision making. This is all part of our process. We saw some things tonight, maybe you guys won't realise, we saw some things tonight that are very, very special. As a football team, it showed me I've got a special group of players, the right mentality building. No one should underestimate what those guys just did, 10 against 11, and with the adversity that this referee was throwing at us for 95 minutes or 112 minutes, or whatever the game ended up being. So that's going to be my takeaway. Then I'm going to analyse the parts of the game where we lost control. That's nothing to do with any individuals, that's to do with our identity as a team. And this will only strengthen our position and our belief in loving the football and making sure we always have the control of the football, because that's what I took away from tonight. The spells where we had the ball, even though we had a man down, we were dominant. The spells where we went away from the ball and we turned it over too quickly and too cheaply and played too direct, and we lose control of the game. But I reiterate, there's something special brewing here, and that's the bit we need to take away and focus on.
Back to Matt Pollard.
Gaffer, on a lighter note, Lucas Harrington comes back from the national team, absolutely buzzing. He was buzzed about that. Your thoughts on his performance? I need to look back. I know he was near Sargent. I'm not sure who exactly was at fault on the goal on the corner, but a lot of moments where the team was, under pressure after any one of the red cards in which he was playing sweeper center back that I think helped out defensively. How do you thought he handled probably another odd scenario for him professionally?
Yeah, it's all part of him and the others. It's all part of his journey as a player, and I'm sure, like me, this will be a game that doesn't leave his memory too soon, and he'll probably still remember this one at the end of his career. Such was the crazy nature of it. But I thought he played well. I think when you go down to 10 men and you're the type of team we are, he's the perfect player to have in the build-up, because he's so composed. He finds solutions even when it's difficult. He's willing to stick to the process even if as a team we're under pressure. So he's got the perfect temperament to play my football. I thought he defended well. Obviously, I think the set play goal, he gets blocked, as I said before, gets blocked a little bit too easily, but again, it's a good learning moment for him. I think prior to that, he had an incredible block from Josh Sargent turning in the box and trying to get a shot off, and it was an outstanding block. So he's getting better and better all the time. The experience with Australia will definitely help him, and we're delighted that he's part of our squad.
Back to Braden.
Yeah, Matt, two really quality goals, both of them pouncing on opportunities. Paxton scoring for a second game in a row, Keegan off the bench. Just what did you like those? What did you like about those in particular? And conversely, despite everything we've already talked about, where do you think the team could have done better to get a third?
Yeah, I think to answer the last question first, it's crystal clear for me. Like, we just had to stick to the process at 2-0 up. It wasn't when they got the man sent off. We were still good after that period, and obviously scored the second goal. And then I fully expect us from that moment just to take absolute charge of the game. I think with our identity, our principles, my feeling in that moment was, okay, now there's parity and we're 2-0 up. Toronto shouldn't touch this football for the remainder of the game, and it swayed completely in the opposite direction, because in our build-up we were so quick to give the ball back to them. We suddenly started playing direct when the game didn't require. The game never requires that. It's not the way we train, so it's not a surprise to me that when we go in that direction, it looks unfamiliar to us, because it is. That's not how we work on a daily basis. So yeah, that for me is the biggest lesson of how we lost control of the game. But there's loads of positives in there in terms of the way that we conducted ourselves, the way that we defended. It was probably our biggest test yet, because obviously going down to 9 men, you get to see us defend our box a little bit more. And again, when we actually analyse the goals, they're three freak goals. A miss-hit cross, I don't know whether it was their player or Keegan that went back to Zach, and obviously a big mistake from Z, just miscontrolling the ball, and it goes in. And then a corner when you have 2 men down. So in open play, I thought there were a lot of positives, considering we had a man less. We had to show a different side of our game. Usually we're a high pressing team. We had to drop deeper into our half, and so I was intrigued to see our mentality. Were we willing to suffer? Were we willing to cover the spaces and make big blocks and big moments in our penalty box? And we were as a team. So we did that. Obviously we scored two really good goals as well. But it's a difficult game to analyse from an attacking perspective, because going down to 10 men so early in the game, and then going down to 9 men with such a huge chunk of the second half remaining, you're not going to be an attacking force. But I like the mindset at the end with the players on the pitch. Murph making his first one of the season. Noah's out there, and I'm asking him to play right centre back. Then I'm trying to shout to him to go and play in midfield. Then he's going up as a striker to try and give us more attacking threat, because we're 2 men down. So I thought there's a lot of good stories tonight. I just said to Dante and Manyoma in there, like, definitely it shows what a team effort it was this evening. I've had to substitute Dante when he didn't deserve to be substituted, but on a tactical level it was the right thing for that moment. And then for Manyoma to come on the pitch, and the circumstances change again, and then to make the next set of subs, Manyoma has to come off the pitch, which is not something I would ever want to do to a player. So and again, he's not a player that deserves it. The way he conducts himself, the way he trains, the way he approaches the game every day. I said yesterday to the staff, Manyoma's probably the one player I would say is very, very unfortunate not to be starting this game, and then he ends up coming into the game and being subbed. So it shows you what a difficult sport this can be, and you have incredible high moments like we did last time out against KC, and then you have moments like tonight where as a team you feel angry, frustrated, a total mix of emotions. But we have to channel that into next week's training. And as I said before, after Seattle, which was a very different context, I wanted Portland to be a victim of our frustration from that evening. I think there's loads of excitement and positives I can take from tonight, but we also have so much frustration, especially around the officiating and the decisions that went against us tonight, that we have to channel that into something effective next week.
We have time for just one more. We'll go to Matt Wickham.
To reiterate those positives, during the period of the game when we had 11 men on the field, it was the second game that you had Miguel at left back, Jackson at right back, and it slotted Paxton into the left wing with Dante at the right. That looked like it was resulting in some nice overlapping play and some good chance creation. How are you feeling about those relationships and the tactical patterns you're creating there?
Yeah, I think now, for me as a coach, I've left the first phase of the season. For me was always about building the foundations of our football. So the biggest threat to that in those moments is a coach tweaking and changing and giving variation, because the players need time to get used to the patterns of play, get used to the positional play, get used to the solutions, especially when you're going to be a team that plays with the risk that we do in terms of build up and trying to control the ball. So there's been many games where tactically I've analysed the opponent and thought, I know the exact solutions here if we made these movements and these movements, but I have to show restraint. And generally up until now, the product I've put on the pitch has just been a consistent product of how we've built through pre-season and how we've trained. Whereas now, since that first international break, I'm very comfortable with where we are from a mentality perspective, where we are physically and where we are tactically. So the great thing for me now is I'm able to show a lot more variation in our game, and like you rightly identified, the plan was a bit different today with Josh Atencio playing as a false left back. As soon as we had time on the ball, Josh was going to left back, Miguel was going higher up on the left hand side, and that was obviously moving Paxton inside into the pocket where he's most familiar anyway. And I think it was quite clear that caused the opponent a lot of problems. We had really good movements in between the lines between Wayne and Paxton. Dante was a threat on the outside. Really nice combinations with Jackson. Jackson was breaking more on the inside, which is where you can use his left foot to your advantage. And then Wayne was making runs in the channel. So I really like the chemistry of the team out there. It's something we obviously worked on for a couple of days this week. But Houston will be a different game. And like I said, the good thing for me now as a coach is I can constantly change the positional structure without impacting the clarity of our roles. And that's an exciting spot for me.
Thanks, Coach.